It's a golden shower head, you know. Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel. We're a podcast about video games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit of everything in between. I'm your host, as always, Joe, and with me, the person who puts the beast in Beastar, the number one fan of Legoshi, Nick. How you doing, Nick?
Yeah, I actually consulted on the show because I was picked. Well, let's just say that a lot of Beastars the manga is based on my life. I won't say which parts, but there's definitely several characters that the mangaka definitely took from for me. There's a lot of metaphor in there, so yeah, yeah. I don't know if you could really call me a fan so much as a founder, um, but yeah, because I had to see season three, and yeah, they screw everything up too. There's a lot of lies in there as well, so you can never really tell exactly. He embellished a lot in the show, made it even worse too. So um, yeah, I wouldn't really call myself a fan, but season three is coming out, and me and my lawyers will be ready. We are getting ready, and if anything if anything bad happens, we'll be right there. How are you doing, Joe?
Doing all right. I have both my arms, so it's not me as anything's based off of in that series. But yeah,
That's true.
man, I saw this and I'm like, you know what? I was like, I'm betting there's probably some sort of body pillow I can send to you for Christmas this year.
Gosh,
And the fact that I have your family's address now, so it doesn't get lost in the mail, I'm like I should just send it with it's like a weird name, so your family members open it up and be like, hey, we what? I just thought that'd be a great little
that'd be
thing to play
funny.
and like have you explain to all your family for the holidays.
I would.
Or I'm not that mean. I like to think of it just like a lot of the internal monologues. It's just like you think it, just don't say it. You're good.
Sometimes you peruse these anime figure sites, and there are Legoshi statues. I'll just say that. That's enough to say about it. But you're right. Um, Beastar season three is coming out. I did see that pop up on or like a remind me on Netflix, and I clicked for it to remind me, but I was not particularly happy about it. I'll probably, I don't know, I'll probably turn it on and watch at least a couple episodes because I think that season two, the writing was just. I mean, I'm sure it was like a manga problem, but like the writing was bad. So maybe if the mangaka fixed the uh, the writing and whatever this story arc is going to make actual sense, then it can be good again. But um, it can never be as good as it was. I'll say that much. But yeah,
Well, it's being touted as final season, so either way, we're done with this, and I can wipe my hands of it. So yeah, that's
until they
kind of what I'm
reboot
looking
it,
at.
until they reboot it, nothing is
All
ever
right.
truly dead.
Yeah. Well. All right. Well, let's go to what we have on the news docket for today. So, what do you got for us, man?
Just a couple things. I saw a trailer for Moonlighter 2, and I was quite enthused. I played a good little bit, a couple hours of Moonlighter 1. Has a really good loop to it, and um, I but I was playing on the Switch, and I didn't ever really play it on the TV much. I just played it handheld. For Moonlighter 2, I will probably not play it on the Switch or Switch 2. I'll probably try to play it on PlayStation or something. But it looks like an appropriate advancement. Um, the the graphics are better or whatever. And if they can add in a few extra little quality of life things or a little bit of upgrades here and there to make it a little bit interesting, maybe improve the combat a little bit. The combat wasn't bad. by any means, but there's a couple things that I felt could have been a little bit c- c- crisper or had a little bit better feel to them, but maybe a little bit better balance. So if they can do that, then it will be better. Um, and yeah, I'm just excited. It said 2025, so probably not early 2025, probably like summer or later. I don't know, but yeah, I was like, oh dang, I didn't even know they're making Moonlighter too. But makes sense. So yeah, seems
All
good.
right. Oh, yeah. I mean, the first one, I just remember it looking like kind of like an homage to like the old Legend of Zelda in a
Very
sense.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why. Yeah, it makes sense that the sequel would be just kind of more updated graphics. It kind of reminds me the visuals look like Bastion in a sense in that way
Yeah.
because, and I was a huge fan of Bastion, so it has that softer color palette and but yeah, all right, cool. We'll most definitely see that when it comes out and yeah, all right. Well, I guess what else you got for us, bro?
Um, a game that was formerly called Project Mugen um, has been the true name has been revealed. It's called Ananta, and it's from the Genshin people. So it's in the Genshin style, but it's being. I think it was a video or it was a Kotaku that was saying that it's basically Spider-Man meets GTA, and I think it's pretty accurate from the trailer that I saw. It looks that you're like swinging around doing stuff. You're not Spider-Man, but you're doing. There's like a mechanic that's similar to that. So you're swinging around, and then you're like doing heists or heist type things. It's a city. It's like in a modern city, not really future or fantasy, but more kind of modern, near future kind of thing. And I think you're fighting spirit demons or something like that. But it has that really nice, at least I consider, nice Genshin anime style, cell shaded, kind of crisp, shiny, and colors everywhere style. It'll probably just be like another one of those games, but it looks all right. I kind of ended up not doing anything on Honkai Star Rail or the what is it ZZZ one because
Uh, this isn't a Hoyo game though. This is a NetEase game,
I thought it
I
was
believe.
Hoyo.
No, so this is NetEase, and yeah, that's so it is a little different. Granted, NetEase is associated with like Riot and Tencent, if I remember. So I mean, I can see it's a lot of the same same trappings. The art style most definitely makes it feel similar.
Okay,
Um,
I see what
I
I see what
remember,
happened.
yeah,
I just skimmed the article and I saw it said there's like references to Honkai Star Rail because of the way it looks. But yeah. So that's actually makes it even better. That actually is more encouraging to me because it did look like a little bit more involved than those other Genshin games. Um, so I was like, maybe they're up in their game here, but yeah. So if it's not by them, then it might actually be even not that every games are bad, but that might actually be more involved. So that'd be cool.
yeah. I mean, I liked ZZZ, but it was I'm not playing gotcha games, I have really bad RNG. So therefore, I always it takes me far longer to get anything decent. Unless if I'm willing to go, if it's a mobile game, I'll re-roll a bunch of times. And it's one of those things that like if I re-roll a handful of times, I'm like, yeah, and I still haven't gotten the ideal or the character I wanted or something like that. Then I'm like, all right, it's not meant to be. I'm done with this. I got those rolls out of my system, and I'm out. Unless if I have there's a friend who wants me to play a certain mobile game, then I'm like, all right, let's do this. Currently a friend. That's why I still play Nikke. Friends likes to flaunt their RNG like gold in front of me, and I'm like, yeah,
Oh
but they
boy.
also are willing to pay, and I'm like, no, no. See, I put in a lot of I put in like save the in-game currency. I dish it out. I don't get squat. In fact, I get things that I'm not even supposed to get. They're like, yeah, you're gonna get if you nominate these people that you want to get. You get a small percentage, and then you're not supposed to get any of these other, SSRs. I'm like, sweet. I'm not. That means I'm supposed to get what I want if I get if I actually get like a good roll, and then also I get an SSR, and I'm like, that is someone who's not on my list, and I'm like, according to the probability chart here, that's a 0%. I got someone who's supposed to be a 0%. What the heck, you know? And the same, like, there's a special event going on. Great, the event character gives you a higher percentage. How is it that I got these other SSRs? I got 3 other SSRs that are not the person who has the highest percentage, who is currently the special event person. I'm like, this is bonkers. I'm like, yeah, I'm most definitely not putting money into you.
Yeah. Never go to
That's
Vegas.
kind of like,
You should never
yeah.
go to Vegas.
But well, I actually have my uncle's luck where he goes, if I'm on the slots for like half an hour getting some drinks, you should jump on the slot machine the moment I leave, and then you'll hit it big. So
Mm,
that's the smart way to do it.
I'll follow you then. Okay.
You should win my money back for the both of us. All right. But no, some of the screenshots I saw do look pretty neat. Has that, like you mentioned, the Spider-Man, like it looks like the swinging mechanics, and having good traversal would be great. ZZZ, being the Hoyo, I liked it. It was really stylish, really looked really good. Made you feel like you were being like a badass, but it was a very simplistic like button combo system. So it was, I kind of wish there was something in between, that, because it was like they dialed it back too far to make it really easy for a younger audience, or maybe just mobile. I think actually playing on a mobile, that makes sense in a way, because you can't really do intricate, button presses on a touch screen, or at least I can't, and that makes sense why you do that. But I don't know. I'm always willing to give these a little shot at least, and I do like the way it looks. So cool. All right.
Yeah, it is
What else you got for us, though?
just last thing
Oh yeah.
it is pretty amazing how good, like Genshin's the only one that I've played a significant amount of, but it's amazing how good Genshin is um on the PlayStation and also on the phone. Like it's like okay, it's like an okay game on PlayStation or whatever as far as controls and stuff that makes sense. But then like you take that and then for it to be that good on the PlayStation and then to go to the phone and it be pretty much just as good. Not you have to think about things a bit more. Some things are a tiny bit more annoying, but for like touchscreen phone, for there to be pretty close to seamless transition, or at least way less than you would think. I've always just been super impressed with. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the last thing I'll say about that one.
Also, to mention just, NetEase, I mean, the most recent stuff they came out with was that the Marvel Rivals game,
Oh, okay,
also the Once Human, which blew up on Steam. Uh,
okay.
I almost played it, uh, didn't, because didn't have, private servers, and just my buddy and I just wanted to play without having to play
Uh,
a survival game with fear of other people just coming in and griefing us. Uh,
or just
they're the
being
ones
there,
who did
yeah.
the, yeah, Diablo Immortal. So yeah, they've made a few things of note, and apparently they're also coming out with Harry Potter, the Magic Awaken game that was announced a while back. So yeah, all right, it's interesting. Also, Tom and Jerry apparently.
Okay, welcome to
Yeah, so they're willing to go
1991.
everywhere. Yeah,
Actually, how
I'm
old
more
is Tom and
curious to
Jerry?
see. Oh, dude, forever.
70s? Dang, I don't even
I
know.
want to see Tom and Jerry done in like an anime art style. There you go. That would be just nightmare fuel for me. Something in my brain would break. Like Scooby Doo. Do all the old Hanna Barbera stuff. Just make it all anime. Uh, really mess with the old people. All right. On that note, all right. What else does you have for us?
Just a couple other things. Indiana Jones, and the Great Circle. I forget the subtitle. Anyway, the new Indiana Jones game getting good reviews. Apparently, Video Games Chronicle gave it 5 stars. They don't usually give out 5 stars for most games, even games that are pretty good. They 4 is very good for them. That is very good. Uh, I haven't really seen very many 5 star games from them, so that's would be like a anywhere from like a 9 to a 10, essentially. For anybody else would be like a little higher than a 9. Um, so yeah, that just tells me that there's that the gameplay's got to be pretty dang good, and the story has to be pretty good, and that the whatever problems there are with it mechanically are probably sparse enough to not knock it off of a 5 star. Because that's anyway, it's high praise. I didn't expect it to be bad by any means, but I was thinking anywhere between 3 and 4 stars, or maybe like a 6 to a 7, something like that.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's wonderful to see machine games come out swinging like this. It was, it's a great time to get Game Pass. I mean, at least for
Dang.
a month if you want to dabble. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that people were expecting it to be good, but honestly, I don't think no one was expecting it to be like a 8 or a 9. Maybe 8 at the highest. I feel like just off of you know it's a movie tie-in project, kind of, right? It's a franchise like that. You're not really sure what to expect. I was very optimistic just because Machine Games does great stuff. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
forgot it is Machine
but
Games. So that actually, I forgot that it was Machine Games. They do make good games. They're not always what I want to play, but they do a bang up job a lot of the time. So that actually makes a lot more sense why I would get why I would get 5 stars. Um, yeah, okay, that's good.
yeah. So I mean, it's honestly, I was expecting slash hoping at best it would be something like the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy game, which uh had a mixed, like people liked it. I think it was better. Unfortunately, I don't think it got the credit it deserved. I
Mm,
thought the game was pretty solid. Like I said, that's around the realm of an 8. Did a really good story with the characters, its own unique story, and I was hoping something similar. But now that Indiana Jones is getting way more hype, that's great to hear. And like I said, for any of those people who don't want to necessarily pull the trigger on a full price game, Game Pass is your ticket. If you have a PC or if you have, uh, you know, I mean, nowadays they're saying pretty much everything under the sun is an Xbox, according to their new campaign slogans. So, yeah, you can find a device to play, Game Pass on.
your your coffee maker
All
is an
right,
Xbox. Your refrigerator is an Xbox. Your I don't even know what else. Okay, cool, cool.
Texas Instrument calculator, right? Yeah. No, if it can play Doom, it can play an Xbox. All right. And what's the last bit of news you got for us this week?
Foam Stars is being euthanized by Square Enix. Apparently, it's getting a better death than Concord, but I mean, like, it'd be pretty hard to get a worse death than that. Anyways, I just wanted to say, rip Foam Stars. Didn't look good. Didn't look terrible, but it didn't look good from the beginning. Um, so this comes as not really any big surprise. Um, but yeah. Anyway, so I just saw that news in the news. So I think I had noticed it whenever it was announced initially, and I was like, this looks like it might be something. And but then after I saw like a second trailer or whatever, I was like, yeah, no, this is gonna be garbage. Um, yeah. Anyway, so sorry to see it go, but maybe something better will come in its place.
I actually don't think I downloaded that during my PlayStation. It's like it was PlayStation Plus free games of the month when it first released,
Oh yeah.
and I'm pretty sure I specifically avoided downloading it or having it in my purchase history. I just
So
had
you're the
zero
reason
interest
they failed.
whatsoever. Yeah, just me and my clout.
You're
All
hey.
right.
Okay.
Oh, so now to the what we've been playing. So what have you been playing, Nick?
Well, I got reminded by you yesterday that a very special game was coming out that very day, and I'm glad you did because I went and downloaded it immediately. A little game called Infinity Nikki, and So we've been talking about Genshin games, and this is also not by Genshin, but it is very much in that style as well. It's pretty cloney in a lot of the mechanics and stuff like that. It's whatever, um, but it's a very pretty game. Anyway, so I downloaded it and I played probably like an hour and a half or 2 hours of it last night. So obviously I don't have any in game strats for you, but I did play through a little bit, and mess around with some stuff here and there. Um, and so basically, if you don't know much about the premise of the game, you're a girl um, with a stuffed animal looking creature that I think it's alive. It's like a cat or something that talks. Anyway, and you're going to a dance, and then you go put on a dress, and then the dress takes you to another world, and then stuff happens, and then that dress gets changed and dispersed into a bunch of different dresses, and then you have a regular dress, and then you have to take your and then you have to go look for the dress that you lost with all the powers. And anyway, you have to rebuild the old dress out of all the dresses in the game. So and then and the lady that did it to you is like kind of definitely seems like the bad guy. um yeah, it is a very gentle game in many ways. It's not difficult, at least not right now. At the beginning, this gameplay is very simple, um, and yeah, it's calm and it's sweet. I'll say that it's just very just very sweet. Like you're just kind of wandering through this world, and everything is like so pretty, and like even all like the bad things are like just still like really gentle, and you don't like hurt them or anything. You just like there's these sewn together patchwork stuffed animal cats, and you like blow these green energy balls at them, and they just go wow, and they just like disappear. And I'm like, are we just like are we just like vaporizing these living creatures? um, but uh, but they don't really seem to worry about it. Yeah, I don't know how much more of this game I'm going to play, but um,
I mean, for the record, it on the PC on Metacritic, it got an 80 out of like 20 reviews, and it has a 4 out of 5 on PlayStation. Uh, IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. So, I mean, this is your personal, Nick's dress up darling. So
pretty
there you
much
go.
it is. Yeah, it's a very calming game. I'll say that. So uh, probably probably I don't know if it's the best thing about it, but maybe what makes it stand out from any of the other stuff that is it's just like is the graphics for it are really good. Like the character models are really high definition, high resolution, whatever. There's a lot of sparklies, the light and everything. It's a good looking game. There's not a lot of frames, frame rates and stuff like that going on, or particles flying everywhere really super fast. But as far as just like hanging out in this world and stuff like that, it's a pretty nice time so far. So I will probably play a little bit more of it, but beyond that, I make no promises.
All right. Well, I mean, thanks for testing it out. I mean, the joke was that you mocapped for it, so
I
yeah.
did mocap for it. They asked me to come back to do some extra work, but I didn't. Uh, I just I had a schedule conflict, just couldn't make it work.
All right.
Maybe I'll be in the DLC.
Uh, all right. Well, let's see. So I recently started playing a PSVR game, PSVR 2. It's called The Last Worker, and it's on the shorter side. Uh, it's the concept is you are more or less a forklift operator for a future version of Amazon. Uh, so you're just a warehouse worker, and it's jungle, but it's pronounced jungle. So it has the hyphen or the little marker above the U, and so it's kind of funny because
The umlaut.
it's like, yeah, the main guy, he does a good job about sounding like he's, um, I'm trying to remember. Um, I thought I heard his voice before. I'm like, so I had to look him up, and I'm like, no, you are not the person I thought. But he just does a very good job about portraying the frumpy, like, closed-minded worker. And the idea is you're in a company, and this is like sometime in the near future. But as this giant megacorp warehouse is slowly, getting more and more automated, all the human employees are gone, and you're the last person there. And you're only really there in the beginning with you and your little broken AI buddy. Um, and he's that the AI buddy is actually voiced by Jason Isaacs, the uh, Draco the Malfoy, Draco
Malfoy
Malfoy's
dad.
father, and yeah, and also the Patriot.
Oh
And
yeah, he was the bad guy, the Patriot. Wasn't
yeah,
he
so I'm
also
like,
in Event Horizon? Anyway, not to get off on too much.
I don't think so. Uh,
I think it was.
you mean that's Jurassic Park guy?
Nope, they're
I'm
both in it. They're both in Event
Oh,
Horizon.
they're both? Okay, I'll believe you on that. I honestly don't remember. But no, yeah, it's just like, wait a minute. So they actually had like a big name voice. It's like, wow, that's pretty great. And his character is pretty funny. At first, it's just a simple. You feel like you're playing a simple. You're on like essentially like a hover rascal, the rascal wheelchair, but but has a loading bay, and you're using like a grav gun to just grab boxes, and then it's just a simple fetch quest kind of game. Almost like a diner dash or something like that. You're just given a location, you putter off to it, grab some boxes, look at it, make sure it's the size and weight it says it is on the box, and make sure the box isn't damaged. And if it is, or if there's a discrepancy, you chuck it to the recycling area. But if everything's fine, you send it off for delivery, and they'll show you kind of the item that is being sent. And they have a very unique sense of humor in this game, which I thought it was funny. I can see some people not meshing well with it, but one of the things that you end up like sending, uh, it's like the AI voice reads off what it is, and it's like it's a golden shower head, you know. Yeah, they deliberately
uh,
have the pause there, and your character laughs about it, and then they show you a photo or a little, and then there's like uh, a commando figure, and essentially it's Schwarzenegger, like screaming kind of action figure, but just in his briefs, just a naked, kind of action figure because the joke of going commando, but instead like in reverse, and it's like, and he makes comments like someone paid money for this. They have a bunch of weird things, and that's kind of like, all right, if this is the game, then that's kind of not satisfying. But then it's just you're trying to beat out the clock, and you have a rating system. So whether or not in your whole job, at first you're like, you got to set these packages so you don't get fired. Because your guy is just really really dedicated to his job as like this warehouse worker. But then slowly it uncovers a larger plot, a like a resistance, because your corporal boss is essentially like a Steve's Jobs, think the 1984 Mac commercial kind of deal.
oh yeah,
It's
the
yeah, so it's he just a giant face on a projector, just but it's they have yeah, the humor's good, and as the story progressed, I found it entertaining. It's like a 4 hour game, so it's not very long at all. I really I recommend picking it up. One of the local libraries had it, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. I know they sell alone, but they also sell it in like a triple pack on PlayStation. So is that I think something yeah, I can't remember the other two games it comes in the pack with exactly off the top of my head, but the yeah, for a simple game, and plus since you're seated in the game, I actually that's the way I played it. I played it just sitting, in one of my extra computer chairs, and I was just like, yeah, I felt pretty natural, pretty all right. So especially if you have like VR sickness or something like that, or if you're susceptible to that, I found it easier for me usually in these games to have smooth turning on.
Mm.
Like they have a bunch of comfort settings, but I just kind of went smooth turning, and I turn sensitivity all the way up so you can move as smooth and as fast as possible. Because if you move too slow, I find that the motion blur is actually what makes it worse for me. But if you want click turning, you do have click turning. Uh, and yeah, but just being seated is fine. And I think that helps out a lot too. Because that it lets me more comfortably look straight up because you're in these mega warehouses. So you can look all the way down or all the way up to see where your package is. And I think that just helps out a bit.
It's good to have
But
options if
there's a
nothing
few.
else.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's it, man. It's a short little game, very entertaining. I thought it was worth the time, and it goes on sale a handful of times. It just actually went off sale this recent like Black Friday or just before Black Friday when they did the other sale. So yeah, take a look at it if you ever get a chance to. You got my recommendation, and that's about it for what I've been playing. Now
Okay.
I know. All right, so I'll quickly mention one of the things I recently watched, which you had watched a long time ago now. It was like 9 months ago or something, 8 months ago,
Mm.
and that was Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Now, yeah, I remember you talking about this, and one of the things I said back then was like, yeah, it was never dubbed, so I never got around to watching it, and they finally dubbed it. So I was like, yeah, now's my chance. Uh, they did a so it's the English dub. The senpai herself is actually the same English voice as Megumi for Konosuba,
Okay.
and I found it worked really, really well. Actually, like sometimes when you hear a voice and you associate it to another character, it's kind of hard to disassociate. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of is, but at the same time, it really fits. Like, it's just like that personality is pretty much spot on. I'm like, it's typecasting, but I don't care. It works really well. Um, and I've really felt that you undersold this anime because I actually ended up really liking it. It's like you didn't say anything bad about it. Don't get me wrong. You said you liked it, but I actually I went back to rewatch that segment because I'm like, just looking at 'em, like, they do more in 3 episodes than, like, a lot of rom-coms do in, like, the entire season.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned that, about this before as well. There for anyone who's new to it, um, essentially what happens is, just real quick, like episode 1 kinda thing is the the main character happens to see this girl walk by in a bunny suit when he's at like a bookstore, and he stares at her, and then she looks at him and sees him staring, and he's like, "Oh wait, you can see me. Okay, forget everything you just saw." And then she just kind of tries to carry on her way. Turns out that when she leaves her town, goes to the next town over, or whatever, people don't recognize her. She's invisible. She can't buy like food at a vendor. She can bump into people and they won't notice her. And so it becomes a kind of a weird mystery to unravel. And a lot of it, a lot of these mini stories, there's like an overarching theme as well, but there's a lot of mini cases or instances that take 3 to 4 episodes a piece, and so there's quite a few of them in the series, in this like 12 episode arc, and it's all pretty well handled actually. A lot of it's quantum entanglement, so quantum, um, and they mention things like Schrodinger's cat and Lapis's demon, stuff like that. So if you are a fan of any of that stuff, adjacent, you're like, all right, this is probably up your alley. Uh, like I said, I really enjoyed my time with it. I just don't want to spoil too much of it because, what characters you meet or how things unravel. Uh, I found it a pretty easy watch, and especially now that's in English, uh, you know, I found the voicing to be pretty solid. Uh, yeah, like a solid recommendation.
Yeah, the characters, each of the other individual characters are all pretty good too. Yeah, like I mean, obviously the main guy and the bunny girl are they're definitely that like for that series they're the S tier characters, but the other characters that are in it, the friends and the kind of side ones, are definitely like really good. They are still like A tier, A minus tier, whatever you want to call it, characters. So I was really, I remember enjoying those parts of it. Yeah. So if nothing else, you could just watch the first 3 episodes, and if you're like that was okay, you wouldn't have to watch anymore because I do remember like the first 3 episodes. They do a good job of like there's more in the season, but they do a good job of going, okay, we're going to tell you like a beginning, middle, and end of a story here. So if you can at least come full circle on that, and you don't have to stick with it if for some reason you don't like it. But if you do like it, then you can watch the rest of the season, and it'll be a longer kind of thing to do similarly with that. So I like that. I also don't remember if I said this last time, but I got Haruhi Suzumiya vibes from it. Um,
I
in
feel they're cribbing off that. I feel like they were trying to make deliberate, like, jabs, and
um,
the very his opening monologue
oh,
kind of felt like it was trying to pick a fight, and so I thought it was kinda funny, and then, of course, because you're opening with a bunny girl right away, and I'm like, yeah, it's, that first episode. I think later on, it becomes a little less so like Suzumiya, but the the first episode, without a doubt, and like I said, the first he just starts talking and something, and I'm like, "Is that has to be a jab. That has to be just them trying to make a slight." Um,
yeah.
I find it so in the sub, um, they call it adolescent syndrome, and then they call it puberty syndrome in the English dub, and I was like, "That's not any better." And
Yeah.
we talked about how these phenomenon are essentially that's what they're calling it, and it's just these weird, quantum entanglement things, and it's kind of funny because different anime has also, it kind of goes back to the old bullying, like one of the Japanese like old ways of bullying, like for middle schoolers or elementary schoolers, is pretend the kid doesn't exist. Like we'll just ignore them,
Wow.
and so certain anime have touched back on being like, okay, well, if they get ignored enough, they eventually disappear or something like that. A couple different animes have done this. And so it's kind of like that's, adjacent to what happens to the first person. Not necessarily the bullying, but it's like but the disappearing based off of visibility, as it were. If you're, and so it's like, okay, that's neat. They bring that up, they kind of talk about it. And then yeah, like I said, different each little event or case, if you want to think about it as little case files or something like that, you have a new ability, a new thing, and each one settles pretty nicely. All the like you mentioned, the side characters are solid. Um, his little sister is not overly obnoxious. There's another little sister character that comes in, also not like meant to be more of a bratty or annoying person, but not overly so, in my opinion. And his best friend, solid. Best friend's girlfriend, maybe not so good. And then he has like there's like the female side friend who uh is his confidant essentially. Like he's the one who he asks for all the advice, and a pretty well written character. And yeah, like I said, I was from front to back. I thought it was well done, and uh they actually they have at least one movie and I think an OVA, at least a couple episode OVA or something like that. But all that has been only subbed. So at this time, it hasn't been dubbed yet. I'm hoping that since they did this, they'll go ahead and forward with the other stuff as well.
The
So I'm kind of curious about the movie.
the other ones, I never got around to watching the movie or the OVA for the other thing. I don't think they've gotten as much fanfare. So I kind of worry that they maybe are not as good somehow. I would still kind of like to make some time to watch them at some point, but I haven't had the chance so far. I would hope that they do get the dub in there, because it would help more people to watch it. But yeah, it's just kind of, it just remains to be seen whether or not they're going to do that. But yeah, it was a good little show. It is pretty well regarded, I think, by most most reviewers and most sites. I think it has a pretty high rating on most sites. So yeah, it's good. It is really good.
All right. So why don't you tell us what you've been watching?
I watched a little documentary that came out from Netflix called, I think this is the right title, Who Killed Jonbenet Ramsey. So I'd always heard about this sort of mystery kind of in passing, but never really in detail. So because I kind of remember when it happened when I was a kid. So in 1996, there was a little girl, a 6-year-old girl was that was kidnapped. The story is she was kidnapped, and then the police got involved, and then the kidnappers killed her and returned her. But the way in which all of that happened led many people to believe different people did it, and there's just a lot of confounding facts associated with the case, and the documentary goes through kind of what happened, like what is known to have happened, or what was thought to have happened at the time, and then revelations on those facts and what are facts and what ended up not being, and then kind of the controversies and scandals that have gone on, because they don't technically have a answer yet on it, and there's been accusations thrown around for a long time. So it's only 3 episodes. I think they're like right at an hour each, and it was pretty dang interesting. I think that for my money, these kind of documentaries, these kind of mysteries and stuff, I usually try to settle on what I think happened, even if I'm not completely sure. But for this one, it seems like the answer. I think I have a pretty good idea of what happened and who the real, like, who the killer is and stuff like that. But anyway, if you're into
Based
documentaries,
off information from the one documentary.
well, yeah, I mean, they kind of, if unless there's some sort of crazy revelation that they are withholding, then I am pretty sure I know who did not do it. And anyway, so having watched this, I haven't had time yet, but I do want to go through and read some of the kind of counter arguments. Speaking of, just watching one documentary, I do want to read some of the counter arguments, because there's a lot of stuff about it on Reddit, and it's just been kind of, people have talked about it for a long time. It's like any other conspiracy theory thing. But as far as the documentary goes, and something fun to watch. It is quite entertaining if you are into these kind of true crime sort of things. So, yeah, it was good, and I recommend it if you're into that.
All right. Yeah. Did that come out on Netflix then? I'm sorry if you said that already.
Yeah, yeah, it did. It did come out on Netflix just about a week ago or around Thanksgiving. Um, and I wasn't actually planning to watch it because I knew Netflix was like saying, "Hey, here, watch this." And for some reason, I bristle at that whenever I can feel an algorithm trying to target me. But I was over at my brother's, and we were about to leave, and they turned it on, and I walked in the room, and I was like, "Oh," and I wasn't trying to pay attention to it, but then there was like this thing and that thing, and I was like just kind of glued to it. And then we left without being able to finish it. And so I was like, "Dang, all right, I'm hooked. I gotta go. I gotta go finish it up," and I did.
Don't don't fight your algorithm overlords, man.
You're right. I
They
should
know.
just bend the knee, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, they know you better than you know yourself. At least that's what they get paid for.
I mean, that's how they make money. So yeah, they're still in business.
All right. And the last bit of entertainment that I watched was uh, the little Amazon anime movie. The It's called Look Back, and this is the uh, what was it, Tatsuki Fujimoto?
Yeah, Chainsaw Man guy, right?
Yep, Chainsaw Man guy. Yep. So this is a 1 hour little movie, um, which I really liked it for multiple fronts. Now it does a lot in the time it's given, and I feel that I mean, if this was a theatrical release, I would actually be okay more or less with paying a movie theater price for an hour because I feel like it did what it needed to do, and I got away with it without having to waste my time with a bunch of superfluous things from like I'd rather not waste my time spending 2.5 hours, 3 hours on a movie just because you're paying X amount of money. Now the animation is unique. I think I think it's intentionally, especially in the beginning, a little rough. Um, but as it's kind of like as you follow the story is more or less um, a girl in elementary school, and I'm guessing it's around like 2001, 2002 or something like that, based off of there's movie posters, and they're not. Some of them are legit. Some of them are like spoof posters. Instead of Batman Begins, it's like Butterfly Man Begins, I think, or something like that. But then they straight up have Butterfly Effect in there. Um, but it's faded enough so you can't, but it's most definitely Butterfly Effect. So there's a bunch of other movies that they hint at around the same time. I'm like, okay, so you can kind of tell with passage of time based off the seasons, but also by the movie posters that are changing. And essentially, like I said, it's this girl who does the school newsletter. She does a little 4 panel, four coma, comic strip comedy bit, and then she actually does two of them, and then the teacher asks for her to give up one of them for a classmate who isn't attending school. They are, hikikomori which is just someone who has for a certain reason or another staying at home, and they cannot come to school because of anxiety. Essentially, is usually the case, and so that um, without spoiling anything else, she just the first comic that comes out or the first piece of art, the quality is very different, and the main girl feels that she can't compete, but that fuels her passion for art, and so she's then becomes obsessed about making manga. Um, yeah, that's it. Kind of builds a rivalry right there, and because it's such a short movie, I don't really want to talk too much about it, but it's just their expansive story and how it kind of um, how they kind of grow up, a little bit together, and how they, interact and stuff like that. I liked it. I think maybe for the ending might be a little divisive for some people. Uh, so more of a teaser than it is a spoiler of any kind. So it's kind of it's an interesting one. I kind of want you to watch this, and that way we can talk about it maybe next time around. And like I said, it's so short that it's totally worth the watch. And uh, it's funny because in the beginning I couldn't quite tell, but towards the end I'm like, oh yeah, totally Chainsaw Man art style, for sure. And at one point they're doing they kind of have fake Chainsaw Man manga covers to different manga in the background. I'm like, oh yeah, it's totally Power, but it's not Power, stuff like
Mm,
that. So it's pretty funny. It's like the artist spoofing their own work, which I thought was hilarious.
that's
Yeah.
I have I read a good bit. I read the first giant arc of Chainsaw Man before he took the break because he went on hiatus for a little while. He's back now, but I read the first main one, and then I read one of his short stories. It was a manga still, but it was a short story. I forget what it was called. I want to say banana fish, but that might not be right. But um, yeah, I really like his like the way that he writes characters. He's really good at hiding what do you call it? Like meaningful uh meaningful sort of uh just sort of like hiding the feels, like all the feels, hiding that in like stupid funny bullshit. And so and then like he like wraps it in stupid funny bullshit and then he like hurls it at you and you're like, oh, this is so stupid and funny and ridiculous. And then like he just like slowly peels back the layers of that kind of stupidity and hilarity and then he goes, yeah, but like all these things that I've been showing you that you've like been enjoying at face value, they actually have like deeper things. And by the time he like shows you all of them and pulls it back, you're like, oh my god, that is so profound. That's so like he kind of tricks you into like having a moment, I guess. And I think he and Yoko Taro kind of like definitely very different in style and presentation. But I think they are maybe cut from the same cloth in that way, where there's like a lot of wackiness, but if you stick with it, you'll find some interesting kernels like kind of hidden below the surface. So you can always get like fun stuff out of it, just at surface level. But if you want more, there is also more to be had. Like there's this yeah. Anyway, there's a part that I was going to try to recount from the second arc of Chainsaw Man, um, but I wouldn't be able to do it justice. Just know that yeah, and then sometimes he'll do like reversals on it where it's like here's all this like hilarity and then here's the meaning and you're like, oh, that's so meaningful, and then he'll like smash you again with like just dumb fun and silliness, and it kind of pulls you kind of back into it kind of breaks the tension, as it were. But yeah, I was interested in this in the beginning. Actually forgot about it, but I'm glad you watched it. So I will go and watch this, and we'll get to talk about it next time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at this current time, Rotten Tomatoes has it at 100%, while
I,
the fan base is 99%. So there's that. I mean, IMDb gave it a 7.9. So like IMDb is always usually a little rougher.
yeah,
Uh,
7.9
but that gives,
around an
but still,
8 is
you're
really
still
good.
looking at it like, yeah, pretty much. So it's solid. I would recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All
Good. Good.
right.
I'm glad you were the one to try that out. So I wouldn't have to waste my time in case it was bad.
I mean, it was one of the things that it was only an hour, and
Yeah.
it caught me with the art. The art style is it kind of the outline, the character lines of kind of somehow reminded me of the old Perfect Blue or something like that.
Yeah.
Just because it has that more hand drawn feel, like Scribble. It's not all smooth, perfect lines. Not like a shonen anime or something like that.
They've figured out how to
So
do that with computers somehow. I'm not really sure what it is that they're doing. I think it has to do with because it's CG, the modeling. I think they're able to model stuff and move it around and make the computer figure out how to just go like, well, this is what a human would approximate it like. So instead of it being butter smooth, it's a bit more approximated by the computer and more random, and so it has a bit of a more human feel to it. Maybe
all
I'm
right.
guessing.
Well, yeah. So we'll talk more about that next week after you watch it, and we can go a little more in depth and spoilerish. But until then, if you guys made it to the end of this short episode, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been ADP episode 104. So Nick, what are the words of wisdom you got for the people out there?
Um, Save your bling. And if you've played Infinity Nikki, you'll know what that means.
Okay. All right then, guys. Until next time, y'all take it easy.
Bye.